Punjabihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Hari. Vijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Vajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Purvajikacharya Ashtottara Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Purvajikacharya Ashtottara Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamadiret. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Yuttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service unto the pure devotee, all that is interspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 30th day of October 2024 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in Canto 7, The Science of God, Chapter 14, Ideal Family Life, text number 19. Kuryad Abadapakshiyam Masi Praushta Pade dvijaha Śrādham Pitror Yatha Vittam Tad Bandhunam Chavittavan Koyad Apatapakshiyam Masi Praushtapade Dvijaha Śrādham Pitro Yatha Vittam Tad Bandhunam Chavittavan Koyad Apatapakshiyam Masi Praushtapade Dvijaha Śrādham Pitro Yatha Vittam Tad Bandhunam Chavittavan Koyad Apatapakshiyam Masi Praushtapade Dvijaha Śrādham Pitro Yatha Vittam Tad Bandhunam Chavittavan Koyad Apatapakshiyam Masi Praushtapade Dvijaha Śrādham Pitro Yatha Vittam Tad Bandhunam Chavittavan Koyad Apatapakshiyam Masi Praushtapade Dvijaha Śrādham Pitro Yatha Vittam Tad Bandhunam Chavittavan Koyad Apatapakshiyam Masi Praushtapade Dvijaha Śrādham Pitro Yatha Vittam Tad Bandhunam Chavittavan Koyad Apatapakshiyam Masi Praushtapade Dvijaha Śrādham Pitro Yatha Vittam Tad Bandhunam Chavittavan. Ladies? Koyad Apatapakshiyam Masi Praushtapade Dvijaha Śrādham Pitro Yatha Vittam Tad Bandhunam Chavittavan Koyad Apatapakshiyam Masi Praushtapade Dvijaha Śrādham Pitro Yatha Vittam Tad Bandhunam Chavittavan. Anyone online? Okay. Koyat, one should perform Apatapakshiyam during the fortnight of the dark moon. Masi, in the month of Ashvina, October, November. Praushtapade, in the month of Bhadra, August, September. Dvijaha, twice born. Śrādham, oblations. Pitroho, unto the forefathers. Yatha Vittam, according to one's means of income. Tat Bandhunamcha, as well as relatives of forefathers. Vittavan, one who is sufficiently rich. Okay, so we're going to say it responsibly, and then I'll read it all at once. A Brahmin who is, so this is Narada Muni speaking to Yudhishthira. A Brahmin who is sufficiently rich must offer oblations to the forefathers during the dark moon fortnight in the latter part of the month of Bhadra. Similarly, he should offer oblations to the relatives of the forefathers. During the Mahalaya ceremonies in the month of Ashvina. All right, so we got a little footnote there. I assume it's in the book. The Mahalaya festivals are observed on the 15th day of the dark fortnight of the month of Ashvina and mark the last day of the Vedic lunar year. Okay, there's no purport to this. So, okay, I'm going to read the whole translation, then I'll just read the next one by myself. A Brahmin who is sufficiently rich must offer oblations to the forefathers during the dark moon fortnight in the latter part of the month of Bhadra. Similarly, he should offer oblations to the relatives of the forefathers. Similarly, he should offer oblations to the relatives of the forefathers during the Mahalaya ceremonies in the month of Ashvina. So this is all a very elaborate description, which is going to continue, of the Śrāddha ceremony, which you probably heard of because of Dharmasetu's performance. This is for the forefathers to make sure they don't go to hell. All right, so now there's a long Sanskrit, which I'll skip, and I'm just going to read this long translation, 4 verses. One should perform the Śrāddha ceremony on the Makara-saṅkrānti day, the day when the sun begins to move north, or on the Karkaṭa-saṅkrānti, the day when the sun begins to move south. One should also perform this ceremony on the Makara-saṅkrānti day and the Tula-saṅkrānti day, on the yoga named Vatipata, on that day in which 3 lunar titis are conjoined, during an eclipse of either the moon or the sun, on the 12th lunar day, and in the Shravana nakshatra. One should perform this ceremony, this is all a Śrāddha ceremony. One should perform this ceremony on the Akshaya Tritiya day, on the 9th lunar day of the bright fortnight of the month of Kartik, on the 4 Ashtakas in the winter season and cool season, on the 7th lunar day of the bright fortnight of the month of Magh, during the conjunction of Magh Nakshatra and the full moon day, and on the days when the moon is completely full, or not quite completely full, when these days are conjoined with the nakshatras from which the names of certain months are derived. One should also perform the Śrāddha ceremony on the 12th lunar day when it is in conjunction with any of the nakshatras named Anuradha, Shravana, Uttara Palguni, Uttara Śrāddha, or Uttara Bhadrapada. Again, one should perform the ceremony when the 11th lunar day is in conjunction with either Uttara Palguni, Uttara Śrāddha, or Uttara Bhadrapada. Finally, one should perform this ceremony on days conjoined with one's own birth star, Janma Nakshatra, or with Shravana Nakshatra. Purport. The word ayana means path or going. The 6 months when the sun moves toward the north are called Uttarayana, or the northern path. And the 6 months when it moves south are called Dakshinayana, or the southern path. These are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 8:24-25. The first day when the sun begins to move north and enter the zodiacal sign of Capricorn is called Makara-saṅkrānti. And the first day when the sun begins to move south and enter the sign of Cancer is called Karkaṭa-saṅkrānti. On these 2 days of the year, one should perform the Śrāddha ceremony. Vishubha, or Vishubha-saṅkrānti, means Mesha-saṅkrānti, or the day on which the sun enters the sign Aries. Tula-saṅkrānti is the day on which the sun enters the sign Libra. Both of these days occur only once within a year. The word yoga in this verse refers to a certain relationship between the sun and moon as they move in the sky. There are 27 different degrees of yoga, of which the 17th is called Vyatipata. On the day when this occurs, one should perform the Śrāddha ceremony. A titi, or lunar day, consists of the distance between the longitude of the sun and that of the moon. Sometimes the titi is less than 24 hours. When it starts after sunrise on a certain day and ends before the sunrise of the following day, the previous titi and the following titi both touch the 24-hour day between the sunrises. This is called Triyaha Sparsha, or a day touched by some portion of 3 titis. Srila Jiva Goswami has given quotations from many shastras stating that the Śrāddha ceremony of oblations to the forefathers should not be performed on Ekadashi Titi. This Titi simply means day here, on the Ekadashi day. When the Tithi of the death anniversary falls on the Ekadashi day, the Śrāddha ceremony should be held not on Ekadashi, but on the next day or Dwadashi. In the Brahmavaivarta Purana, it is said, Ye kurbanti mahipala Śrādhan chaikadashi dine. Trayas te nadakam yanti data bhokta cha prerakaha. If one performs the Śrāddha ceremony of oblations to the forefathers on the Ekadashi Tithi, then the performer, the forefathers for whom the Śrāddha is observed, and the Purohit, or the family priest who encourages the ceremony, all go to hell. You got all that? Okay. If you didn't, then I'm going to continue reading, because it's a very nice sentence at the end of the next paragraph, purport, which I think makes it all come home. Ta'ete sheyasa kala ninam sheyo vivardhanaha kuriyat sarvatmana aiteshu sheyo mogam tadayusha. That's text 24. Translation. All of these seasonal times are considered extremely auspicious for humanity. At such times, one should perform all auspicious activities, for by such activities, a human being attains success in his short duration of life. Purport. When one comes to the human form of life through natural evolution, one must then take the responsibility for further progress. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 9.25, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan. One who worships the demigods can be promoted to their planets. Yanti Madhyajinopimam. And if one practices devotional service to the Lord, he goes back home, back to Godhead. In the human form of life, therefore, one is meant to act auspiciously in order to return home, back to Godhead. Devotional service, however, does not depend on material conditions. Ahaitukya patiyata means without any material motive and constantly. Of course, for those who are engaged in... Now, this is the punchline to all of this. Of course, for those who are engaged in fruitive activities on the material platform, the times and seasons mentioned above are extremely congenial. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So, we have to remember the context. Narada Muni is speaking to Yudhishthira. Now, Yudhishthira is the king. This is after the battle, of course. And he's instructing him in various details that are important for administering a realm, an empire, in which not everybody is on the path of pure devotional service. So they're very much concerned. Just as Dharma Setu, he goes around, and these people are devotees, but they're also deeply involved in material activities, and they want to perform the Śrāddha ceremony for their forefathers. If you're simply engaged in devotional service, it's not essential to perform the Śrāddha ceremony. I mean, Prabhupada never introduced it. That, okay, you have to find out when your grandfather, they disappeared, and you have to do this, and make sure it's on this month, but not this tithi, None of that was there. But it's here in the Bhagavatam because of the context. Narada Muni is not speaking to Dhruva here, instructing him in his specific devotional service. It was very concise. He's speaking to Yudhishthira, who's the emperor. And he has to deal with all kinds of people in the realm who are maybe devotees of a sort, but they're not only concerned with that. They're very much concerned with the fate of their previous forefathers, who may not have been devotees at all, but were pious, and so this is why there's all of this detail there. But as Prabhupada says, of course, for those who are engaged in fruitive activities on the material plane, the times and screaming. But if you're not engaged in that way, it's good to know this. It's not that it's not important because it's there in the Bhagavatam. But it's not that everything in the Bhagavatam is something that we have to worry about here in the Hare Krishna movement. This is what I understand about this. I don't think it's bad to perform the Śrāddha ceremony. Lord Chaitanya performed it, right? He went to Gaya. He went to do the Śrāddha ceremony. So it's part of our culture. But in my experience, and that Prabhupada never formally introduced it for his devotees in the Hare Krishna movement, coming from all kinds of material backgrounds, and who knows what those pitris have done, So it's not something that we really have to worry about. And as Prabhupada says, of course, for those who are engaged in fruitive activities on the material platform, times and seasons mentioned above extremely. So he's hoping that his devotees in the Hare Krishna movement are not at all engaged in that way. And so I don't think we have to worry about it too much. And so that's why I'm going to read the next verse. During these periods of seasonal changes, if one bathed in the Ganges, in the Yamuna, or in another sacred place, if one chants, offers fire sacrifices, or executes vows, or if one worships the Supreme Lord, the Brahmins, the forefathers, the demigods, and the living entities in general, whatever he gives in charity yields a permanently beneficial result. Okay, no purport. O King Yudhishthira, at the time prescribed for reformatory ritualistic ceremonies for oneself, one's wife, or one's children, or during funeral ceremonies and annual death ceremonies, one must perform the auspicious ceremonies mentioned above in order to flourish in fruitive activities. Purport. The Vedas recommend many ritualistic ceremonies to be performed with one's wife on the birthdays of one's children or during funeral ceremonies, and there are also personal reformatory methods like initiation. These must be observed according to time and circumstances and directions of the Shastra. The Bhagavad Gita strongly recommends Gyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam. Everything must be performed as indicated in the Shastras. For Kali Yuga, the Shastras enjoin that Sankirtan Yaga be performed always. Kirtaniya Sadahari. All the ritualistic ceremonies recommended in the Shastras must be preceded and followed by Sankirtan. This is the recommendation of Srila Jiva Goswami. So I also get the impression that if you're doing Sankirtan as your main yajna and performing all of the aspects of devotional service, then you don't have to worry about all these ritualistic substances. I mean, this is just what I know from experience of how ISKCON was set up and what we have to do and so forth. If you're, the idea is to fill your day with devotional service. There's always something to do. That's your duty in devotional service if you're a full-time devotee. Okay, and so if you're doing that in the temple, and you read this in the Bhagavatam and says, oh my God, Makara-saṅkrānti has come and gone and I haven't done this, what's going to happen to me? No, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. But as the movement has expanded, it's dealing with all kinds of people and all kinds of congregations in India and everything, and they're not on that level. They are devotees, and and then we want to encourage them as much as possible in that. But they're very concerned about the Śrāddha ceremony and all many other things. So there's a section here for them. Okay, you do it this way, and this will be auspicious, and then gradually you can increase your devotional service till that's all you're doing, and that's all we have to do. So the Prabhupada makes it, the Shastra enjoined that Sankirtan will be performed always Kirtaniya Sadahari. And when Prabhupada is writing, so many purpose we've read, that when I came to America, I encountered the population, and they're so fallen. This is in the 12th canto. How Kalir Doshane de Raja Nastyeko Mahan Gana Kirtanadeva Krishna Mukta Sangha Param Vijayat. So after listing all of these incredible faults in the Kali Yuga, which we can see outside, many of them happening, I'm waiting for people to pull up stakes and go to the forest. Where are they going to find the forest? So, but anyway, that's going on. It says, but there's one very great boon in this age. That's kind of a concession, because they can hardly do any of this stuff, and that is just by performing Sankirtan, then everything will be accomplished. Then your life will become very auspicious, and ultimately you'll go back to guided. So that's the state that we're at. I don't want to belittle this. This is the Bhagavatam, of course, and it's very important. But it's very important for a certain class of devotee who is enmeshed in the Vedic culture and so forth, and they're trying to lead their life, which is auspicious in and of itself. But for those who have no idea about that, to try to think that we have to become expert in all of these things, and oh my God, is it Makara-saṅkrānti or is it the other Saṅkrānti? I don't know. What should I do? I don't think we have to worry about it. That's my own opinion. Any discussion on these points? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. I have a question that can we, how to say, advise the people who engaged in material life, but come to temple, to make Sankirtana Yagya beside this Śrāddha ceremony or no?
Oh, absolutely. We want them to do that. If it's one or the other, do Sankirtan. But the point is, there's obviously let's put it this way: the congregation that we have has many people in it who are very concerned about this Śrāddha ceremony. I mean, we can ask Dharma what percentage of his engagements are Śrāddha, but more than what? That's more than 100. Yeah, so it's important, that people who are concerned about that, it's definitely part of the Vedic culture, it's even part of the Bhagavatam, that it's being done, conducted by a devotee, and that when he does that, he also introduces, the Sankirtan, the idea of Bhakti. It's not just doing official Śrāddha, But so that people who are concerned about that, they can do that, feel good, okay, we did our duty to the Pitris, but now we're going to also do Kirtan, and that also helps them. I mean, the point is that what did Nrsimhadev say to Prahlad, when he was concerned about his forefather, namely Hiranyakashipu, please forgive him, So he said, do not worry, so many generations back and so many generations forward are all going to be blessed just because you're a pure devotee. And we see what happened. Who got blessed? Bali. He's a Mahajan. He's a descendant. And even Banasura. Remember Banasura? He had 1,000 arms. He was very devoted to Lord Shiva. So Krishna came and fought with him, and usually he'd kill him, but he didn't kill him. Because he's a descendant of Prahlad. He cut off 996 of his arms, which must have been kind of traumatic. But still, he survived, and he was able to go on. So the point of the Bhagavatam, as we learned, throughout the Bhagavatam, that the preeminent thing to be concerned with is bhakti, is this ahaituki apatiyata bhakti. This is the ultimate dharma in this age. And if you're doing that, then that covers all the bases. If you're really doing that and that's all you're doing. But if you're also entangled in so many material things and this and that, then these other ceremonies are important to worry about and perform nicely.
I meant that even they're not engaged in bhakti, so how to deep say, maybe know something chant, but I mean that in this, organize this ceremony, but besides these ceremonies, make Sankirtan, Kirtan together. I mean, like this.
Yeah, in other words, these are people who are non-devotees.
This mood that we how to make this kirtan for sake of these relatives.
Yeah. I mean that. In other words, that's a perfect example of how it's important to know these things, and we find that I think in Dharma's his engagement, that he never just goes there and does some karmakanda thing and then go home. I mean, he's always introducing kirtan, isn't he? And telling them how it fits in, and prasadam, and all these different things. So that's a part of what it means to be preaching in the Kali Yuga. You're going to have all kinds of people listening. Some who are utterly unfamiliar with Krishna consciousness, as we likely find here, and you don't have to make a list for them. Okay, here's the thing. The first thing is when Makara-saṅkrānti comes, you do this for the forefathers. They can hardly pronounce the Hare Krishna mantra. What to speak of all the Sanskrit mantras you have to know. But then you have a large number of Indians who have migrated here, and they know about bhakti, and they may actually be devotees of a certain standard. But they're also very much concerned with this. They were trained as children. This is part of karmakanda. It's part of the Vedic truths. So you give them that. But at the same time, you try to encourage them to increase the bhakti part of their life, you know. And then they come, you see them come to the temple and offer the lamp, which is probably 100 times more auspicious than anything else they do. So that's what this is all about. And it's interesting that it's Narada Muni speaking all this stuff. Narada Muni, who so often, every time he comes, he says just what's necessary to get them going in bhakti, right? But here Yudhishthira is being trained. He's the emperor, so he's got to deal with all kinds of situations and people. So he's also being given all these details. And Prabhupada says, I just love this line at the end of the previous purport. There are not many purports here. Of course, for those who are engaged in fruitive activities on the material platform, the times and seasons mentioned above are extremely congenial. What about those who aren't engaged in any fruitive activities or minimal fruitive activities? You don't have to worry about the times and seasons. I mean, just at the end of the 8th chapter, Prabhupada refers to it, right? 925. Remember that? When to leave and when not to leave, you know? So what does he say there? This is, okay, that's not exactly what I was looking for. It's the end of the 8th chapter. This is a different. But he says there, for devotees, you know, full-time engaged, they don't have to worry about, you know, when they leave their body, you know, and so forth. The important thing is you leave your body chanting Hare Krishna, hearing the chanting, being fully Krishna conscious. And then it doesn't really matter. But for those who are concerned about going to this upper planet or lower planet, oh, okay, you know, we'll leave the body at certain times, you know. So therefore, that's my understanding of this passage. You want to say something, Bala?
Yeah, just in relation to this, you're mentioning these different yagyas, Virchandra. Yeah, there was one brahmachari here, and anyways, Dharmasetu Prabhu was thinking of training him, but he was saying, yeah, I don't know how much I really want to get involved in all this because, you know, you go to this thing, you're doing all these Śrāddha ceremonies, and I was saying, well, what you could do is you could tell the family that, okay, yes, I'll come, I'll do the Śrāddha, but part of it is that you invite your friends, you invite your family, and then the temple, they'll cater some prasadam, and then we'll have a Gita class, and we'll have some kirtan. So in other words, you make a whole program out of it.
Exactly.
And then with the yajna included, you know.
Right.
But, you know, that didn't happen. And, you know, maybe Dharmasetu Prabhu would be open to something like that. I mean, what he does is he gives them prasadam, and he gives them Prabhupada's books. But maybe he would be open to something like that. But, you know, you need a team to, you know, constantly. He's having all these Śrāddhas all the time. You need like a Sankirtan team. But that would be an interesting idea. I was just thinking in relation to, because you have all these other ceremonies. You have the hair cutting ceremony. You have the grain ceremony for children, for family. You have the hair cutting ceremony for the child and the grain ceremony. And then you have they choose the possessions. Whether they choose the Bhagavatam or they choose money or they choose some weapon. One kid at Laguna Beach, a little baby, I was there some time ago. All these things were there, and then the baby, they went to the phone. You know.
I went to the phone.
Yeah, the phone wasn't part of it, but the baby just went to the phone. So, but it seems that when devotees talk about these ceremonies, they seem to say, okay, well, these are okay, it seems, or they seem kind of more acceptable and like a bhakti, you know. It seems a lot of devotees do these, but then a lot of devotees don't do the Śrāddha somehow.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, maybe there needs to be a new ministry.
I mean, of course, we could say this haircut and ceremony and these things are also not necessary for Vaishnavas, right? No. Ultimately.
Well, ultimately, you got to cut your hair. But if you're 1 year old, I think it's all right. Okay, now I lost my place here. How far did I get? Has everyone been following? Because I read a bunch of them. I finished 24, there was a purport. Oh, that was the thing. Of course, for those who are engaged in fruitive activities and material, the times and seasons mentioned above. And then I went past that, right? We finished 26? All right. Oh, there was another purport, yeah. Yeah, Gyatva Shastra Vedanoktam. This is, so let's just focus on that because that's a really important verse. One of my favorite parts of the Gita is the last few verses of the 16th chapter. Now, the 16th chapter is about the divine and demoniac, you know. And most of the chapter is about the demoniac qualities and what Krishna does to these demons, you know. I mean, you cast down into hell, you know, perpetually. It doesn't mean forever, but a long time, you know. So, but then he says, Trivadam Nadakasedam Dvaram Nashanamatma Kama Krodha Tata Lobas Tasmareta Tradam Jajait. There were 3 gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. One who has escaped these gates is very fortunate and goes to, you know, achieves perfection. Gyatva Shastra, Trivadam Narakas Dwaram Nashanamatma Kama Krodha Tasmat Etat Tvayam Chajait. Therefore, one should give up the lust, anger, and greed and escape them, and then you can go, you know, ultimately back to Godhead. So then he goes, Trivadam Nadakasedam Dwaram Nashanamat Kama Krodha Lobas Tasmare Tattvaram Tijait. There's these 3 gates, therefore one should give them up. But then he says, Yakshastra Vidamutsvija Vartate Kamakarada Vartate Nasa Siddham Evapnoti Nasukam Napadam Gatim. So he says, if one gives up the instructions of Shastra, he's introducing Shastra, the word Shastra in the last 2 verses, the concept of the whole chapter. One gives up the vidhi. Vidhi is the origin of the word vaidhi and vaidhi bhakti, which is what we begin practicing when we first begin, according to rules and regulations. So he said, just give them up, and you just act whimsically, then such a person doesn't get any perfection, doesn't get any happiness, and doesn't go to the supreme goal. Then, the culminating verse, the final verse of the chapter, such an important verse, and Prabhupada quotes this one line from it here. It says, Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Karya Vavastito Gyatva Shastra Vedanoktam Karma Karta Miharasi. Therefore, Tasmad, one should accept Shastra as the pramana. Very important word. A pramana is what we accept as an authority for how we're going to act and how we're not going to act. Everybody has it, you know. You get online and you get into some site, you know, and there's some conspiracy theory, and you accept it. And before long, you've changed your lifestyle. You're preaching it. You're preparing for the end of the world, whatever it may be. So, but you have to accept some pramana. When you grow up, what do you accept? Your mother, your father, then your teachers, you know, your elder brother. But to really be successful in life, you have to accept Shastra as the pramana. So tasmat Shastra pramanam te karya, what to do and what not to do. Bhavaktida. And gyatva Shastra Vedanoktam, and knowing the vidhis of the Shastra, knowing the instructions of the Shastra, one should do them as a matter of duty. Which means that you may not feel like it, but you do it anyway. And you may not feel like giving that up, but you do that anyway, knowing that it's Shastra, if you want to achieve success in life. So that's a key. Now we accept that. The more that we accept the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita and all the Srila Prabhupada's books as our guide for what to do and what not to do, the more successful we'll be in devotional service. The whole program is there to take us back to the complete perfection, pure love of Godhead, back home, back to Godhead. That's the whole idea. There's no compromise. Well, okay, but I would like to go to heaven for a while first, you know. All right, and worship Indra, and then see what you get, you know. But Krishna, he very much criticizes that in the Bhagavad Gita. Chine punye matya lokam vishanti. Even if you go to Indra Loka and you enjoy godly delights for a long, long time, chine punye, when your punya credits, these are material, it's like a credit card. When it's finished, matya lokam, you return to this world, this very nice earth. No, you return to the matya loka, to the world of death. You know, that's what you return to. So then they say, what's the point? You go this going and coming. You haven't made any progress back to Godhead. So he's very critical of deity worship here. But here, you know, we learn that, if you want to get the mercy of Shiva, then do this, and all, you know, like that. But for those who are purely fixed in devotional service, or at least aspiring to be purely fixed, then our day can be completely filled with these things. And as far as our pitris and our forefathers, they'll be benefited automatically, just like Prahlad's forefathers and descendants were benefited without him doing any Śrāddha. Not that he didn't do it during them, because he became king, he had to show example, that's the one thing. But that's the point here, is to understand the instructions, the do's and don'ts as given by the Shastra, as given by the Lord, as given by the representative of the Lord, representatives of the Lord. And the more that we accept that and really make that our life and soul, then everything else becomes secondary. We don't have to worry too much about it. If we're absorbed in bhakti duties from morning to night, then we're in good shape, you know. Now, part of the bhakti being in good shape is extending Bhagavatam class, and you're going to hear this. So, but as Prabhupada said immortally, those who are engaged in material activities, these things are, are very important. So don't be engaged in immaterialist activities, and you can set your priorities right. And kirtan, preaching, study, investing the deities, all the things that we do, that are completely within the realm of the bhakti shastra. Okay, it's 8:30. This is our end time. It's the end time. So, if there are no further questions, any questions online? Vijay Krishna is boycotting my classes these days. Okay, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol.